I know you can't hear it, but the birds outside are going nuts. So what did you do? You rewrote reality. You took control of your story. Welcome to your new day. The birds are singing your arrival. You have entered a stage where you are rediscovering your gifts, your passions, your skills, your purpose in life. You are the lighthouse and you are shining bright. You cannot be hidden anymore. The universe at this time period is not going to hide an energy like yours. It wants you to be seen because you are the answer. My solar plexus is grumbling so loud. You have rewritten reality in your favor. Are you ready? Are you ready? I know you are. I know that you are. So this morning, as I'm going over kind of my own reading and the cards that came out, I'm thinking about how yesterday when I was sitting out on the porch, speaking of the bird song, I had a complete Snow White moment where I was sitting just watching the dogs do their thing in the yard, and a little brown sparrow came and sat on the railing. I could have reached out and touched it. And I talked to it for a minute, and eventually the dogs came up to the porch and scared it on its way. But it was such a beautiful moment. And I was so happy and grateful to have had that moment where nature came to me. It met me where I was. You are experiencing that too. The world is rising to meet you. It is showing you more of who you are and the beauty that lives within you. So congratulations. You've made it through the fire and the brimstone of chaos in the underworld. You have crossed the threshold, the intersection of the past self and your emergence. You stood at the gates, and your willingness to face obstacles, limitation, and fear created a powerful channel of healing for you and for others. And so now you get to watch the echo come back to you. And I know that this seems challenging to see, given the way the world is, but that is the echo of what you have faced. You went to war within yourself with the ways that you were running, the ways that I ran. And you have stopped and stood in your values and your guiding principles and said, no more. I run no more. I stand and I shine in my truth and my value. The universe is sending the birds to tell you. Yesterday, the song that came out after the sparrow was Flock of Seagulls, I ran. But you're not running anymore. You may have even felt like you had a period of time where you were sitting on the fence, like there was a lack of clarity. But I want you to think about when you were a kid in school and the teacher was giving the test, the opportunity for you to not show that you were right, but to demonstrate what you knew, your level of competency. Was the teacher talking? Was that when instruction was coming and new information was coming in? No. The teacher is quiet. So you may have felt like you have been sitting in quiet, lacking clarity, and wondering when you were going to get the sign, when the communication was going to come, that all of the effort that you would put into yourself, learning how to outwardly express your love, because self-love was never the problem. If self-love had ever been the problem, we never would have been seeking it. If lack of love had ever been your problem, you wouldn't have sought it all the way down to the depths of desperation. You would have turned into the things that fear breeds, but you didn't. You didn't. You endured. And like trees and plants, the little flowers that grow out of the cracks in the sidewalks, and the trees that grow sideways out of the edge of the cliff, but still reach for the sun. You grew where you were planted. The apple tree in the desert. You grew when there was no sign, no symbol, no synchronicity to guide you, just on faith. And you did it. You're here. And what you have done is echoing out in the world. It's just on a delay. So all of the battles that you went through within yourself, this is what you're seeing in the world around you. But know that they are going to the same places and directions that you did. They are facing the tribalistic loyalties formed out of obligation and distrust and secrecy and manipulation, and they are burning them down so that new energies, divine energies of love and healing and connection can be reformed. You're not sitting on the fence anymore because you know that the devil owns the fence. You are standing planted and deeply rooted. So today in my cards, the first two cards that came out were the riddle and the shapeshifter. These cards go with what has been coming up for me for days, and that is that we need to ask better questions. You have learned to ask better questions. You have learned to be comfortable asking the questions that have depth, because you know that this is where your discernment lives. This is where you learned to tell authenticity from predation, because you understand that predatory leadership, predatory others spread confusion and doubt and fear. But authenticity breeds clarity, trust, and truth. So you have learned this. You have become the alchemist, the Virgo energies around stability, safety, and structure. That's why your roots have gone down so deep. And the tree knows that it has to send its roots down first in order to support the growth and expansion that it will have. So you sent your roots down deep. You faced the darkness within. This brings to mind the imagery of the werewolf, something that appears normal, even safe or friendly on the surface, but holds a deep amount of terror underneath. To me, this is rage. You have learned how to walk with rage. And instead of letting it be blind rage or consuming rage, undirected energy, or even justified rage where your focus is on the wound, the problem, you have shifted your focus to the solution. And you have learned how to channel that into righteous rage, which means you see the solution and you channel your energy towards that instead of just blind reaction. You have learned how to respond with great power, and you have found your power. But with great power comes great responsibility. You have gained a great amount of ability to respond instead of react. Cannot be manipulated. anymore. Your discernment has been fine-tuned. You have the ability to spot the wolf in sheep's clothing, the werewolf in others. And you know how to shine like a lighthouse, even when you are battered by the waves, because you know that you are not the ocean, and you understand the rock that you built your foundation on. The shapeshifter has given you the ability, that was the other card that came out, the riddle and the shapeshifter. The shapeshifter has given you the ability to recognize where your identity is fixed, attached and clinging to paradigms, patterns, limitation beliefs, lack mentalities that were holding you back. And you have learned to be fluid and flexible and adaptable because you understand that everything runs in cycles, that time is constant, but change is too. And you have learned how to change your shape into what is needed in order to spread the light and love that you want to see in the world. You don't run from shadows anymore. And you are no longer Peter Pan trying to reattach his shadow in a way that it once was. You're willing. You understand the strength of your vulnerability. You know how to recognize your own octopus energies, and that doesn't just reflect where you are clinging and attaching and gripping things, but you also understand that it means to watch for where you are spreading your hands in too many directions, where you are carrying too much. You're no longer trying to be Atlas and carrying the world on your shoulders. Instead, you have become the lizard, the chameleon, the one who doesn't conform, but knows how to change color to match the environment, knows when to drop a tail in order to save a life. Because you know it will regrow, because you are fluid and flexible. Like a kayaker, you have learned the currents of the world around you, the nature of things, and you know how to ride them. You don't try to force the river to be what you want it to be. You don't try to force it to be easy. You understand that you can let go and ride the current and steer your boat safely through. You know how to avoid the rocks and the eddies. You're in a point where Virgo has alchemized these limitations into opportunities to learn. You understand that instead of saying, I fear, I don't, I can't, I won't, you know how to say, I am curious. I will investigate. I will learn. Because I trust my own becoming. You understand that sometimes the reason you feel like you don't belong is because you weren't supposed to belong there. That time is an endless resource. And things circle back when they are supposed to. So Lilith and Virgo commend you for the work that you have done, the ways you have integrated your shadow, learned how to channel it and use it. An example of this would be like understanding that hypervigilance when unconscious breeds anxiety, but when channeled consciously becomes awareness, the ability to spot what others can't before they can, the ability to recognize deception and manipulation. You understand that hyper-independence gives you this ability to understand, but you have also learned that it blocks you from your ability to ask, so you learned to ask. knowing that when others cannot, you can. This has taken you from being the dark horse moving in shadow, learning how to run under the light of the moon and still keep the momentum going, into being the unicorn. And the unicorn is a horse with its third eye on. So you have learned how to channel that momentum through your intuition. But like the last unicorn, cannot hide in the forest any longer. And you're not afraid anymore. You understand the bull for what the bull is, to reference that movie further. You understand your power in your intuition and your inner guidance. You know that the rock that you are growing on, that faith that you formed, built, cultivated, is connected to the earth as a whole. And then sometimes these energies move slowly. Most of the time, these foundational energies move slowly. But you know how to stand and grow anyway. Because you know that your love is improved through endurance. Your love was the growth that wouldn't be stopped. Love was never the problem. Access was a problem. And you have learned the discernment that can tell you and guide you in times of great turmoil and chaos and darkness. You understand that this provides ingredients. Why you're a shape shifter. These are the ingredients in your hands that you can mold. I'm looking over my notes. There were other things. There were so many things that came through that were so beautiful today. Hermes came out. That is communicate. That is shine. You can't hide anymore. You've done too much work. You've changed too much. People can't help but see it. So to get back to the sparrow on the porch and that snow white moment that I had, you are shining. You cannot be hidden anymore, nor would you want to. Love was never meant to be hidden, and it has been buried for too long. Earth is cracking open. All the earthquakes and the volcanoes, earth is cracking open to let love flow again. But naturally, when you step into your power and your authority and you begin to shine, those who benefited off of your silence, who benefited off of you being the canary in the cage in the coal mine, are going to resist that. There are evil queens around who are going to be jealous of your authority and your agency. But they aren't built on the same rock that you are, and they didn't send their roots as far down. So they cannot stand unless you eat the fruit that they offer. So the caution that comes out in today's energies, because you are visible, you will no longer be hidden. Source, God, spirit, whatever you want to call it, your higher self did not come here to live its entire existence in this form in the dark. It came here to shine. It came here to master the darkness so that it knew how to slide along the scale, because darkness is just one end of a scale of light. You've learned how to slide along that scale. That was what you came here to learn, so that you could live purposefully. Others are going to come and try to knock you off of that pedestal. They're going to try to knock you off the rock that you built your lighthouse on. You sent your roots down too deep. You do not need to fear them anymore. You are the unicorn. You understand the nature of the bull. You were born in fire, water, and earth. Those energies live within you. They cannot harm you. You know that you are indomitable and unshakable. You were not raised in a dome like the tree in the greenhouse that wasn't exposed to wind, so its trunk could not grow strong enough to support its expansion. You grew indomitable. That is your word. These energies cannot harm you, and they are not coming to test you. They are coming to reveal you. So the riddle card came out because we need to ask better questions. And you know how to do this. You know how to ask the questions that aim at the depth. You have swum in the ocean. You know that you are the drop and the entire body of it. And you know that all things will cycle and return to the ocean, to the depths. So you know how to ask the right questions. Continue to ask those questions. Continue to discern from those around you, from the clarity and the confusion. And this means mind your frequency. And your frequency is all of your outward expression, your platforms, your social media, your channels. What you feed, you seed. So when others look to you, what do they see? Are you using your platforms, your outward expression, to continue to put darkness in front of others? Or are you shining your light of truth and love so that others, when they are looking into the world and they already see all the darkness and the chaos and what is broken and what is wrong, when they come to your frequency, does your faith shine through? Be very protective of your frequency and what you are putting out. What you do inwardly, you do for the collective. What you do outwardly, you do for you. So this outward projection that you are putting out, what you post on social media, how you speak to others, the way you carry yourself in your presence, that is showing you and revealing you, continues to, where you are in alignment or not alignment. So is your outward expression revealing fear and wound, or is it revealing growth, solidarity, discernment, and love that refuses to diminish itself just because things look chaotic? Are you showing others how to use the chaos as ingredients for creation? Or are you chipping away at their integrity, their dignity, their ability to experience honor and courage? Because it chips away at your own. So be very, very mindful of that is the warning, the suggestion for today's energy, because you cannot be hidden anymore. Your light is visible. What you do inwardly, you do for others. What you do outwardly, you do for yourself. Your light is visible. What do you see? Ask better questions. I send you my love and healing energy. It's your time. We've all been waiting. All been waiting just for you. What are you going to show? I love you.